Laserdisc fanatics, Jason Seacrest here, aka Geekicus in the Retroverse. Today's video is just a short video to cover storage of physical media, especially Blu-rays, DVDs, CDs, that type thing. The reason I'm making this video is recently I commented on a post that someone had made in Laserdisc Forever. They were showcasing Laserdiscs that they had framed and put on the wall. Great, I do the same thing. And I had noticed underneath their shelves of Blu-rays and DVDs all in their little plastic cases just taking up massive amounts of space. And so I thought, hey, that'd make a great video. I could showcase what I've done to rectify that problem, right? Reduce the amount of space these things take. Also show some of the things I've tried in the past that didn't work out so well. And then leave it up to you, the good viewer, to figure out how you want to store it. So what am I talking about? This is what I'm talking about. In my hand, I have 5 Blu-ray discs in typical Blu-ray cases, right? These 5 stacked together take up about 2.5 inches in space from this way to this way. Multiply that by 20. Let's say you want to fit a 100 on a shelf. You're talking a little over 4 feet of shelf space that these things consume. Okay? Why? Let's just take one. Let's take Shaun of the Dead. This is a great one, right? Let's just strip it down. All right? Got a disc inside and nothing else. Let's take the disc out. That's another thing I hate about these, right? Stupid clenches. Oh, let's take the artwork out, which, you know, that's it. It's a piece of paper. What are you left with? A plastic case. It's worthless. It's nothing. You know, you can go buy these blank on Amazon. I mean, you can buy them empty on Amazon. There's no monetary value, nothing collectible about a blue plastic case. With Laserdiscs and vinyl, there is no compression of storage, right? The jacket provides the artwork. It's not separable. You know, it's not separable. You can't take this off and store the disc someplace else. And it's a 12-inch disc. What else are you going to do with it, right? So this goes with it. How you store it, of course, is different. Now, I'm not fond of this, but it is my only solution right now. But by that I mean it's the spine view. I prefer to flip. I'm a flipper, so I want to get storage or build storage where I can sit here and flip through my titles and see the artwork as I'm flipping, rather than pulling and pulling back in, pulling and pulling back in, right, when I'm going through it. But as far as compressing this, there's no compression. There's nothing else to do. You have to store it this way. So here is an early attempt at solving the storage problem. It's one of these typical cases that contains all of these sleeves. And this particular one, you can keep your art, right? That's why I bought it. And it seemed like a good idea. But the biggest problem, as you can see, is, you know, what happens when you add more? You know, if you add more content, if you add more physical media, how do you reorganize this? You can see I intentionally left some blank spots in case I bought something I could shift things over, because I do want it alphabetized. You know, however you want to organize it, you want to keep it organized that way. You don't want to just add a new disc to the back and going that way. How are you ever going to find anything, right? So that's the biggest problem with this. The second problem is you can't find these things, right? Once the manufacturer stops making this, they're going to stop making these, which is the problem I found with this. These were really difficult to find, and they're expensive. So buying more of these sleeves to add into here, not so much. Yeah, so this was the first attempt, and it did consolidate the space, but it really presented a whole new set of problems. So then I tested these guys. In my hand, I have 5 DVDs. They take up a little bit less than 3/4 of an inch. That's a massive amount of space that's being saved. It means I can fit about 100 of these in 12 inches, about a foot, right? So 1/4 of what storing the cases would take. But let's break it down, shall we? Let's just take one, Tron, one of my all-time favorite movies. So take it out of the outer cover. That leaves you with your artwork, right? The artwork. Piece of paper that comes out of the jacket, whoops, and any tchotchkes that come in there. This is just the track list. And then on the inside, you have another slip for the discs. So this was a great solution for space. It absolutely does cut down on the amount of space, but it did present a whole new problem, and that's that they don't stand up, right? They don't stand up. So you either, if you're going to store them on a shelf, then you need a bookend. You need to pack them in and put the bookend so they stand up straight. And then, of course, they're stored spine like you would in a jacket, but you can't read anything. There's nothing to read. So that's another problem, right? You have to be able to see the front. So two new problems introduced to this. So I solved the space problem, but not the searchability of my library. So recently, I've been doing a bit of a culling with my DVDs, and I've been moving them to the small drawer that's part of the console of my love seat here. And as you can see, in a space that's 12 inches in length by 6 inches deep, I've got about 100 DVDs here. At the very back, I have an actual case, Transformers. Yeah, 20th anniversary DVD, because there's more than 2 discs in there. Well, these slipcases are designed to only hold 2 discs, although you could put more in there if you get the little slips that go inside. So this saves a massive amount of space. I've got a second compartment here that I'm going to use for the rest of my DVD collection. Now, this doesn't mean I'm taking all of my DVDs, Blu-rays, and so forth and transferring them to these plastic slips. You've got to be smart about this. I have 3 examples for you real quick. The first one is Evil Dead. Let's get the glare off of that. And the reason why I'm not taking this one out, the disc is upside down, is because this is a unique case. It's a big CD case, right? I mean, yes, I can still take the disc out, and yes, I can take this paper slip out, but the case itself is somewhat unique. It's not a typical plastic, the plastic cases that I showed you at the beginning of the video. This is an interesting case design, and I wanted to keep that for that reason. The second is legend. The same reason. This is different, right? It's pretty cool. Open this up here. Let's see if you can see this without glare. And then, of course, Tim Curry's character. And then this opens up. So this actually can't be separated. This is almost like a Laserdisc jacket, right? The printing on the back is on the jacket. It's on the case. So you can't separate these two. Why would I try to do that then? That's pretty collectible in my opinion. And then the last would be Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is the same reason, kind of. This outer sleeve, it's just exactly that. It can be taken off, right? But the box itself has artwork on it. It's like a Laserdisc or an LP. The container for the disc is the artwork. It has the artwork on it. So why would I get rid of that? That's collectible. That is cool. Not a blue plastic case. This is cool. So I'm not going to transfer that, right? So I still have to store these things, but it's worth it. That's worth the shelf space, right? All right, let's briefly talk about guys like this. So hopefully this will come through on the camera, but this is a lenticular cover, right? You can see it flip in there. Don't want to get rid of that, but the problem is it's on an outer sleeve, right? Once you take that off, you still got the same thing here. You've got this inside of a blue case. This can come out. And this is the only tchotchke in it is they're advertising a chess set, right? So still don't really need this. So what do I do with that? Well, whoops, backwards. I do this. Okay, now before you start complaining, yes, I cut this out, right? So I can fit it in the sleeve. But this whole thing is nothing but a clone of the paper insert. I don't need this telling me the same thing that this tells me. And there's a big gaping hole in this anyway, so that the stupid barcode can come through, right? So there's nothing that I need to keep here, at least not in this particular case. But I do want the lenticular cover, so I'll cut that out, put it in the sleeve with the discs. Again, saving shelf space and not keeping anything that I don't want to keep. All right, let's talk about one more case design before we wrap this up, and that's steel books. You know, I'm like you, these are cool. You know, they're really cool, but essentially they've got the same problem as storing the blue cases, the plastic cases, right? They really don't offer anything else. They're a container for the discs. Instead of a paper sleeve, you have the artwork printed on the steel book itself. So you can't separate them, but they take up a massive amount of space, right? I mean, in a lot of cases, I would almost think, in cases, I don't mean cases, I mean instances. In a lot of instances, I think they could probably just get away with doing something like this in the disc, if it's one disc, slipping that inside. You know, this just takes up a lot of space, but yeah, they're cool. I've got several of these. This is the Blu-ray edition of Transformers. This is the 4K edition of Transformers, and unlike the others that I've got, this actually has honest to God tchotchkes in it. These are still shots of the film, right? It's printed on cardstock, which is kind of cool. And then you get into the problem where not all cases are equal. MASH. I like the design of this steel box. I love the movie. I like the TV show. But this particular one has these particularly bad clips in it, so now it doesn't even close right. It doesn't snap close. And unlike those other ones that have a plastic hinges, these are metallic, so it never closes right. You got to shift it, right? So you're kind of stuck with cruddy design in some cases. So, if you like steel books, I have more of these. If you like steel books, and I do, more power to you. I've pretty much decided I only want steel books of movies that I really, 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 really like, because other than that, they're just not. It's not worth the shelf space. What's the point of having a big steel book that doesn't, at least with the plastic stuff and the paper sleeves, if I look at the back, I'll know, what codex is it using? What's the aspect ratio? What's all that stuff? The stuff that I might be interested in. I don't even get that with these, right? So, but they're still pretty cool. I'll admit that.
Well, Daddy, won't you put on the computer?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. That's a whole other video that I'm slowly putting together about why physical media, right? But long story short, let's just summarize the argument. I own it. These are things that we own. We want to take care of them. We want them to live a very long life. There's laser discs in our collections that are 40 years old. So you want them to last. You want to be able to enjoy them years from now. So that's the short answer for that. But a much longer answer in the works. Okay? Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.
Är det någon som sett min tvål? Skål!
Wait for a second after I say action, then say what you gotta say, okay?
Say
I know, but wait for one set. Count to one in your head. Ready? Action. That's a long one. Okay. Action. Did you forget what to say?
Yes.
All right, let's try.